reimagine engagement with the live arts through utility NFTs. Come on, take a seat, friends. Microphone's on the seat for you. We're ready for you.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to our panel. We're going to talk about live performance and NFTs, and in the short time that we've got, we're going to structure it into 3 sections. So after the introductions, we'll look at how NFTs are shaping the creative production process and live performance, how they're shaping the experience itself on the performance night, and how they shape the legacy of the performance after it's happened. So, introductions. My name is Leo Crane. I'm a creative producer, and I run a studio here in London. I produced the first NFT live opera in Los Angeles in March with a company called Electrifying Opera. And I also run education programs here. My pronouns are he, him, but I answer to hey girl or whatever you want to call me.
Hi everyone, my name is Pip and I am the co-founder of The Round, which is the world's first Web3 platform for live entertainment in mobile augmented reality. We piloted last year with, again, another world first, the world's first AR concert by One Direction's Liam Payne. And since then, we've been building the platform out to make it a scalable product that artists all over the world can use to be able to broadcast live performance to anywhere else in the world.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm a CMO at Doorstreet. It's a consulting firm for a big company in Web3. And I'm a co-founder of Aloha Metalive in Morocco. It's an NFT for music industry in Morocco and Africa, and is a new redistribution in the music industry.
Hello, I'm Luis Carranza. I've been in crypto since about 2014. One of our first experiences was actually getting the chancellor in 2014, George Osborne, to do a Bitcoin ATM withdrawal for a PR moment for the launch of Innovate Finance. So I've been watching the different waves of crypto, and now in Web3, I'm a founder of a company called Fair, and we help brands engage. We have run a pilot with Espanyol, La Liga team, to do a demo of NFTs live in stadium to enhance the experience for the fans. So very interested in the space and how it comes to life in a live experience of any type.
Well, I think it's a great breadth of case studies here that we can bring to the conversation. Should we kick off with you, Pip, about anything that in your...
They don't realize how badly fucked they are.
Where did that come from?
Discuss.
Is it?
It's a live performance.
This is amazing. It's like a Twitter space. Yeah.
Telegram.
Pip, anything about NFTs that are shaping your thoughts about the creative process or storytelling?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that we're relatively new to the world of NFTs and blockchain. Really, our background is in theater and VR and AR, and then about a year ago we started to, on really the request of our clients, started to think about how we can implement NFTs as a means of monetization of content on our platform. And I think one of the things in terms of the creative process leading up to production that's really exciting for us is being able to use NFTs as a way to engage fans from really early on in the creative process, make them feel like they're part of the whole creative experience, essentially stakeholders in that moment, in that experience, in that production, and then reward them for it, which we'll get onto later, but in terms of after the event itself. But yeah, making fans, I kind of started using this quite cringy word of fanvestor, but like making fans equity holders in productions.
That's great. And Sarah, do you have fanvestors in your client projects?
Yeah. I'm from Morocco, and we love music in Morocco, like everywhere in the world. So it's like an example. Do you know Gnawa? It's a traditional music from Morocco. And in the non-fungible conference in Lisbon, we have made a live performance in Gnawa during 20 minutes, something like that. And tomorrow morning at the event, you can mint the live performance of the artists. So I think the live art, it's a real good things. I'm sorry, my English is so bad, but you understand me, I think.
We understand perfectly.
Thank you.
Luis, how about you? Any examples of projects that you've worked on where NFTs have helped shape the project?
I think the example we gave with Espanol, like it was just a test case, but we had fan NFTs of their mascot. Only a couple dozen people had them, but we wanted to make the use case. And the fans that did have the NFT and were physically present within the geofenced area of the stadium were able to get upgraded to the executive seats. So again, there was just an example of, all right, you are a fan of the team, but you're also at the stadium, so it's a second level. And because you're there and we can validate all of these things in real time, why don't you come and watch the seats in the catered area? So there's things like that, but we're also exploring right now a Meta Fashion Week event, and this doesn't require too many brands in advance. So we're trying to create it from scratch, from something that doesn't exist, and we're having to plan out the entire experience. Like, what does it look like to do a hybrid event? Do we want speakers? Do we want a real runway or physical runway? Do we want to play the video inside the metaverse, or do we want to scan the people walking into the metaverse? So there's lots of ways to change the experience, and every time you do a different type of experience, you have to consider way before the event, possibly even the ticketing, how can you interact, and then the things that you take away from it, and then how you can turn that into something else in the future. So there's a lot, I probably rambled on a bit, but there's a lot of elements to consider when putting together a digital physical event with NFTs in the real world and physical world.
I think that's all very valid points. And I know from my own personal experience coming from a very small little setup where we just got together and decided to do a project. For us, NFTs allowed us to release something before we'd finished so we could get a little bit of funding for it. And that actually, the release of that NFT then led us to the sponsor who brought us from a pre-recorded studio film into a live performance. So I think for us, the ability of someone to buy into the project before it was finished fundamentally changed the way we produced the project and the way the public engaged with it through the experience. So we've touched a bit on also the actual experience of the performance and how that can be shaped with NFTs. Is there anything more that you want to say about that idea, things that you've seen around what happens on the night, whether it's through ticketing or whether it's through engaging with the performance itself or live minting or anything like that, that you want to share with our lovely audience here today? Pip?
Well, something that we're really excited about, because obviously being an AR platform, you have multiplayer events where people are coming together to engage with the live performance. Something that, coming from a theatre background, I think about a lot is what is important about live experiences, what is it that makes it unique, and why are we putting so much effort into being able to deliver live experiences when pre-recorded so much easier? And it's about the shared experience, but it's also about the element of social jeopardy that you put yourself under, that social risk of saying, oh, I'm gonna go to the front and dance instead of standing at the back and bobbing my head. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm gonna, if it's like an interactive theatre show, I'm gonna stand up and talk, or I'm gonna go and explore this like little avenue over here, or whatever it is. There's an element of social risk involved in that. And how do you recreate that in a virtual space where, when you look at Twitter and social media, the element of anonymity changes behaviors, right? So how do you introduce that element of risk that's actually really important? And also, how do you then create the reward that people get from overcoming risk in the real world? And I think that what we're doing is working with dynamic NFTs, whereby you can essentially say, people who carry out this interaction, people who do this behavior, you're going to be rewarded by receiving exclusive drop or some, anything really. It can be tied into the experience itself. It could even just be
Hollywood's
tokens.
fucked. They don't realize.
Really?
He's
Again?
back. I don't think that's a comment on what you're saying. Please continue.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, that was a good time to shut up. That's how I feel.
No. Continue, please. Please.
Yeah, no, dynamic NFTs and rewarding behaviors that sort of need different means of encouragement and incentivization in a virtual environment when compared to a physical space.
Yeah. Well, I do actually have a question for both of you, Luis and Sarah, because what interests me about what you do is that you work across sectors. So you're working both in arts and sport, in luxury, and in my experience, those sectors have operated quite independently in the past, and Web3 and NFTs is a way that we are beginning. Well, I'm certainly now fascinated with sport, whereas I wasn't before. And I'm learning a lot from the application of NFTs in sport for the arts. Is there anything that you can share about the kind of interdisciplinary nature of what you do?
Well, I think if you, I'll do two quick examples and I'll make them quick. So imagine that I like it when things get layered and sort of connected with other things together. So imagine that we are doing a fashion show, right? We'd probably clear out more of these seats, and there could be nobody walking in there. But once you combine NFTs as your ticket and you have an app, you could actually point your phone to the middle and actually watch a virtual runway. So you're not looking at it, but you're looking at it through your phone. Now, that's an example of mixing NFTs, a live show, with AR. And if you take the same thing, like, let's just pretend I'm a rapper. And I'm good.
Are you going to rap?
Oh, I'm amazing. No, but you guys came here to see me, and you have an NFT ticket. I'm out here doing my performance, and then I tell you you're already pointing your phones at me because that's what you do at a concert, and I tell you, hey, listen, I'm about to make it rain, and all of a sudden you can start to see NFTs coming out of the sky, like Pokemon Go. There could be some rare ones, and you're going to catch an official NFT by engaging with AR. Like, there's so much things that you can do when you're engaging in a live show. The mechanics stay the same, but I think the thing that needs to happen is you need to incorporate payments, NFTs, AR, VR, accounts, share it on social, and that's how you sort of get the breadth of experience, but also make it feel natural and part of the show.
Thank you. Sarah, anything to add to that?
I don't know, maybe for the Ballon d'Or, I think it's a good example in the sport, because with my company, we have worked with the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Cabin Nueve is the winner, a French guy. And for example, we have worked with a crypto artist. He made a beautiful stone for the ceremony, and they made a live show on the screen during the ceremony, and this is a good example for the live art through utility NFTs with the real life, and we're connecting the sports with the Web3 industry, and this is a huge event for people, and I think this is a good connection to educate a large panel to people with this live art through or everything with NFTs. I don't know.
I think it's a good example.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So we've got just under 6 minutes left, and I want to think about the legacy of live performance and what NFTs can do in that field, because there's something fundamentally in competition. It's the idea that live performance exists and then it doesn't exist, and that's the whole point of live performance. It's a moment, and the blockchain is permanent. So NFTs are bringing a sense of legacy to things that haven't had that opportunity before. And we were talking earlier a little bit about equity and how you can buy into a production and share in the ongoing life of it after the performance. Would you like to share some thoughts on that, Pip?
Yeah, so, I mean, you can probably touch more on, in terms of I don't know, licensing of a show or anything like that. But for us, is this working?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just being crap at it. We're really interested in how when you make a live show virtual, suddenly it actually can go on to have a life after it originally did, because you've got this whole recording of it, and it can still continue to be interactive, multiplayer, and adaptable. And we're really interested in derivative works and how fans can take those virtual performances and adjust them themselves, customize them, personalize them to, you know, their own taste if they feel like they want to do something slightly different with it. Kind of similar to how people take a TikTok video and remix it, and then it gets remixed and remixed and remixed and remixed. Using NFTs and having those derivative works essentially licensed from that original NFT means that the original creators maintain their IP and can continue to generate revenue off of each derivative, and the derivative creators can start to generate revenue from the sort of derivative work that they're creating by other people. And I think that just opens up an entirely new sort of creator economy and sort of model that doesn't exist at the moment.
Luis?
Can I ask a question, and it's a bit rhetorical, but how many of you still have ringtones that you bought in the early 2000s? How many of you actually bought a ringtone between 2002 and 2007? Exactly.
Loved them.
Right now, it's just a different way to make money. It's licensing, it's IP, they're memories, but historically, they tend to fizzle away and die. And then if somebody happens to have an authenticated ringtone, it might actually be worth something now if you actually have it, because there's this scarcity that comes with things that are cherished later down the road. So I think part of this, like, you know, capturing a moment, I personally think that there needs to be a digital decay built into some of these things, kind of like baseball cards. Like, not everybody has a 1950 baseball card. They tend to fade away and dissolve, and the ones that are left are rare. So I think there has to be some sort of scarcity built in to take the live moments and make them, you know, to mimic what's already happening with that scarcity. Or alternatively, a value add where you add value to scarce items. So I think there's a missing mechanic in order to make these collectibles, because forever items aren't necessarily going to start to become more rare. So there has to be a missing mechanic, I think, in order to make like live experiences mean something 15, 20 years from now. Just like the ringtones, like, you know, if somebody gave me an original, I don't know, Biggie Smalls ringtone that was authenticated as one of like the first, I might actually buy that because it's a piece of history and I know that I'm the owner of it. So there's some things missing in the equation that I think, you know, maybe you guys can solve.
I might bid against you for the Biggie Smalls ringtone.
Your opinion. We need your
My opinion. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I can give you an example, which is what we did for our live performance. So I used to work in the museum sector. I still do. And I worked with the National Theatre and Performance Collections at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And looking at how people have archived performance over time was the inspiration for creating a time capsule of our live performance in LA on the 29th of March at 6 p.m. And that was to create a physical box of things that were associated with that night that had been touched by the original performers of that performance. So that included the composer, Zachary Whitney, signing the score that was also signed by all the players from the orchestra, the feathers from Merav Eldan, the mezzo-soprano, her couture dress that was an NFT dress designed specifically for that performance, the stubs of charcoal that I had used to draw the animations that were projected all around the performers, all packaged up in a kind of neatly historic box. It was a Victorian money box. And then that physical object was attached to an NFT. So actually what you're saying, the NFT itself won't decay, but the physical object that is intrinsic to the value of the NFT is as susceptible to decay as any museum object. But I imagine having like a ticket stub from the first ever performance of Handel's Messiah or something like that. You know, the value is incredible. Yeah. Sarah, we've got 12 seconds left. Final word for you.
Nothing to add. Nothing. Thank you, guys.
Luis, final thoughts from you?
Get the volume back up. NFT sales.
Do it. You heard it. And Pip.
I just think no. I think we've covered so much. Like when you go into the world of live arts, there's so much to unpack, and I think that there's a lot that can be done. So just like let everyone just be creative and try to bring the industry on board.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panel.
Thank you.
Thank you, NFT London.